everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tim Talks Music. I'm Tim Butler, and today we have another special interview for you. The other day, I had the pleasure of talking to local power pop sensation Flume. They recently released their first LP, Splash Hits. So, I hope you enjoy my interview with Flume. All right. So, for the people who don't know who you are, could you say your names and what you do in the band?
Sure. Hey, Tim. Hey, everybody. I'm Brendan from Flume, and I am guitar/vocals.
I'm Skromky, and I do bass and some vocals.
I'm Gabe. I play drums and I do vocals as well.
Nice. And how did you start the band?
We were kind of in each other's circles for a little while, just being, music fans in Westchester and Philly, but we officially met at a second grade show at Philomoka like 2 years ago or something, and we just kind of started talking about power pop and the music we like, and I was initially, at that time I was trying to start a new band anyway, so the stars kind of aligned with like they were maybe interested in playing, and we knew that we were on the same page music-wise with the bands we liked, and yeah, we started jamming, and now we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the story behind your band's name?
It's hard to find a band name these days. In 2025, there's so many names that have been taken. So we were sending ideas in a group chat for like a month, and we probably sent like hundreds of names that were of varying degrees of terrible.
Yeah.
But finally, I think I sent Log Flume. Somebody sent Log Flume. We were like, that feels right.
Yeah. The contender before that was Moose Factory, which is a geographical location in Canada.
So you mentioned you do power pop. How would you define power pop?
You want to take this one, Gabe?
Yeah, okay. Well, power pop, I feel like it starts really with the Beatles. In the 60s, bands like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Byrds, those bands had a pretty high emphasis on like R&B influenced music rather than like blues influenced music or anything. So there's a lot of pop hooks, there's a lot of like very kind of like rigid song structures, verse, chorus, bridge, so on and so forth. But I think once you get to like the late 60s, early 70s, and you incorporate like harder guitars, but you still have all those rich vocal harmonies and guitar interplay and stuff, I would really say it's just like pop-oriented rock music with a harder edge to it. And it really, really kind of took off in the 90s as far as like the really, really good stuff goes. Yeah.
And what was your first introduction to power pop?
For me, it was definitely Buddy Holly by Weezer. I heard that when I was like 8 years old or something, and I think that shaped my music taste for the rest of my life.
I'd say for me it was probably in high school, listening to a lot of like Marshall Crenshaw and Nick Lowe, and then what truly made me kind of fall in love was getting into Teenage Fan Club.
I would say for myself, it really started with my love for like all that 60s music, like the Beatles and the Byrds, but I didn't really connect with the idea of power pop until I got into like Guided by Voices in high school. And that's when I really kind of realized what I liked about power pop and really started diving deep into the genre from knowing about Guided by Voices.
And
Gabe had cool parents to give him cool music like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And for you, what is your Mount Rushmore of power pop?
I'd say Big Star probably. I mean, you can't beat the OG, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, that's one band out of four, I guess. I would put Guided by Voices up there for sure. Yeah, Teenage Fan Club probably too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as that last one, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would personally put Sugar up there. I think Bob Mould really made like so much noise with Sugar, and like it really defined the '90s era of power pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would put him up there.
I wouldn't argue with that at all. Yeah.
how has it been seeing the reemergence of power pop recently with many bands, like maybe kids my age writing power pop songs and then releasing it and then doing shows?
It's been awesome. I mean, it's really cool to see people kind of focus on the things that we love the most in a song. I feel like prior to maybe like 6, 7 years ago, the big thing was like kind of hypnagogic indie pop. You know, a lot more so on like the post punk side of things, and of course, power pop bleeds into that a little bit too. But nowadays, you have a lot more lush vocal harmonies. You have a lot more kind of organic production, like acoustic guitars, and not so much like the overly compressed drums and stuff. So it's been awesome to see because that's all the sort of like aesthetically pleasing stuff that I like to hear in music. So right now there's a lot of bands to explore that are within that realm. Feels good, and we fit right into it. So
Yeah, we're very lucky to live where we live because it feels like Philly's one of the few cities in America that has some semblance of a power pop scene. You know, there's 10, 15, 20 bands that we feel like we can put bills together with that are in like our genre exactly, which definitely power pop's a smaller genre in the scale of rock music, I'd say, but it's cool for it to be like that centralized around here. And I think it just must be a trip that, you know, we're kind of kids, I'd say, in the scene, and especially you are like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you make. It must be a trip for people like some of the bands we're playing with for the Papadelphia show in July, like you know John Fay and the No Good Crowd that have been involved in this world for a while. Like I couldn't imagine 30 years from now playing a power pop show with 20-year-old kids. It's just kind of crazy that it's still this strong and it's kind of had this resurgence, but it's exciting and I think it goes to show how good this music is and how much staying power it has, that it kind of keeps coming back because people will continue, I think, to rediscover the Beatles and Big Star and like you know the whole lineage of power pop. And I think it is totally possible that in 2050 we'll be having a log flume show with the kids of Philly or something at their own little pop fest that they put together.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad that comes out of the internet, but that's one really good thing about the internet is music discovery, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like over the pandemic, a lot of younger people just like discovered all these bands that we love from the '90s and that we've discovered from like years and years of listening to music, and it's just it's just really cool to be hearing this sound from a wider variety of people.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for that one band to like push the ceiling
Mhm.
or break the glass ceiling, I guess, a bit with the drum. I think the Lemon Twigs maybe are almost there, if not there. Like they're a very popular band that are squarely in the genre and are you know selling out pretty big venues and playing big festivals. But I feel like power pop is still a bit of an it's popular now, but under the radar still. So I'm hoping
Yeah,
you know some band can lead the charge to
I think Sharp Pins might be another one that
maybe.
can push that boundary a little bit, because he's really young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably like 19 or something. I don't know off the top of my head. And he's catching a lot of traction right now.
And so, what is your approach to songwriting and writing a power pop song?
I feel like I don't really have to try to write a power pop song because it's kind of just what happens when I sit down with a guitar and like what comes out is what I like and what I've listened to for my whole life. So they end up for me being like short guitar based things. I'll get a verse and a chorus, and as time has went on, I've tended to just kind of leave it there with just like you know verse chorus, maybe a bridge, and not get too winding with it. Whereas I think Gabe's kind of on the other end of the spectrum. Sometimes we got some cool songs coming out that are more less you know rigidly structured, but are still power pop for sure.
Yeah, Gabe is the prog head of the band. He's on our power prog wave.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I try and do something a little bit different every time I sit down to write something new. Um, but I feel like it always comes out the same way. I'm always kind of reaching for the same thing as far as like sweet pop melodies and a good song structure, a good verse, chorus, bridge song structure. So it really is kind of like the natural approach to songwriting, as Brendan was talking about.
So one of your songs off of Splash Hits is "At Your Leisure." Could you talk about the lyrics and like what the meaning is behind the song?
Sure. So that song, I sometimes, very occasionally, I'll begin that song when we play it live. I'll say this is a song about natural resources. Sometimes it's easiest for me to write a song when I kind of just pick a topic and roll with it. Um, so in that song, I'm talking about people mining lithium and people like harvesting meat from cows and stuff. And I'm not really taking like a rigid stance on whether or not that's a good thing. It's really just kind of, it was just really an avenue as to write lyrics that were somewhat meaningful because I have trouble doing that a lot of the time. I like doing like the whole word salad type thing. But yeah, I would say I'm pretty happy with those lyrics.
Who would last the longest in the wilderness and why? Out of you three?
Probably Skronky.
I'm gonna
She
say
has the
Skronky.
most researched survival instinct, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say me also.
I don't think I would stand a chance.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun. I hope that never happens to me.
So I'm going to go back to songwriting. Now, I feel like Surfer on Acid is very different from the album. What was the inspiration for that song?
Well, I kind of wanted to write something a little different from the album. I'm very inspired by, yeah, like a lot of classic male dominated albums that have like one more twee female song somewhere in it. Like, it's kind of like Over My Shoulder on whatever Pastels album that is, or like my Velvet Underground's After Hours is kind of what I was trying to target.
Apples in stereo
Yeah,
record.
exactly. So, yeah, it's kind of just like a trope of good pop albums in its own right, I think.
And so recently you had a mini tour. How was that?
It was fun. We had a lot of fun driving through the January snow. Yeah, we did DC, Richmond, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is where I went to school. So it's always fun to go back there. We always have like a good crowd. But it was great. Every show was awesome. The people we met were really cool. They were all fun to play. It's fun. For us, touring is like, we don't take that replacements approach of like, you're touring, you're not a tourist. Like we have fun exploring the cities that we go to. It's like half vacation, half playing shows. So it was a great time.
Yeah, and it's always an adventure doing that with the band. You know, going to new places. We've played, you know, a couple places here and there that are a little bit farther away than just like an hour or two from where we live. And yeah, it's always a really good time. You always get a good impression of how differently people in those areas respond to your music and, you know, kind of enjoy live shows in general. So it's always a good time. And yeah, we almost died in the snow. So yeah. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah.
Driving to Harrisonburg in the snow was fun because that's when it really started coming down, like driving up the mountain. And when we got to the place we were staying, the host was like, "Hey, it's really snowing. If you guys want to just stop, my husband can come pick you up in his pickup truck, and you guys can like use that for the weekend." We were like, "It's so nice of you," but we made it. Luckily, we didn't have to take him up on the pickup truck offer.
Yep.
And you started as a four-piece band, and then you became a power trio. And how has that changed performing?
I've had to learn how to play guitar for real. I can't hide anymore. But yeah, Paul is my old friend going back a long time, so we played in a lot of bands together. So it only made sense to kind of start this one with him since we were already playing music together in a few different groups at that time. And then it kind of fell off, I think, with where our musical direction was going and like what we wanted to do with the band and him. So it was like a mutual, like, I don't think either of us are really, this isn't the right time and place, I guess. So we decided to go with the three. And now we're actually, I think we found our fourth member, a new person named Nitch, who will be our new guitar player. But since I actually learned how to play guitar now, I can do some leads too. So it'll be like a two guitar player instead of like a rhythm and a lead for the most part type of situation, I think. But it's good to know that we can do shows pretty well as a power trio because it just makes it easier. Like, you know, if one person can't make it or we're not stuck with all three have to be on point all the time for it to be like a good show, you know.
And so who does your artwork?
I designed what's on your shirt, and I did the album cover too. Gabe's done a lot of the stickers and single covers, so he does the collages, but if it's something drawn, it's probably mine.
Yeah, we keep everything in-house.
I'm very thankful to have artists in the band. It's always one of the hardest part is art because you always need artwork for your releases, your posters. Like seems like you always need to have something in the works. So it's very nice to have these two talented artists to help us out with that.
Yeah.
What is coming up next for you guys?
We're starting recording album 2. We've been going to the Noisy Little Critter studio with Mike Bardzik, who Gabe has known for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot of records we really like. Like he's done most of the Hurry records and our friend Civil Rats. He did like Joyce Manor or something. So he's got a good, you know, repertoire of stuff. We knew we would probably mesh well with him. So we did 3 songs with him. We're going back to hopefully knock out 4 more at the end of the month. And, you know, we'll see what happens with the last back half of the album, but it's in the works. It'll come out at some maybe early next year or something. And then we're kind of taking the summer off for shows a bit. We've got, if this is out at this time, we'll be playing at Ortlieb's on April 25th. And then I'm getting married in May, so we're taking like almost the whole month off so I can do my marriage things, my wedding and all that. And then they're going on a big trip to Europe. They're going to what, Ireland and England.
Yeah.
So June is a little bit like, you know, taking the foot off the gas. But July, we're trying to do a big show at Philomoka with us, John Fay, the No Good Crowd, the Jet Planes, and Polaroid Fade, who are all bands that we've either played with or seen that we really like and are super excited to be playing with all of them. So we organized a small army of power pop artists for a show that we're calling Popadelphia. So that's gonna be fun. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it.
And congratulations, by the way, on your
Thank you.
And I got one more question, so feel free to answer it in any way. What advice would you give to any up-and-coming musicians or like kids my age that want to become musicians?
I mean, this sounds a little corny, I guess, but I would say just like keep playing music, even if it's like 15 minutes a day. Learn to make it for your own personal fulfillment more than anything else, because even if, you know, things aren't going right within a specific music project that you want to, you know, release out into the world, you're always going to get better if it's always on the dome and it's always something that you're working on. So I would say just like keep the passion alive.
Yeah, I would definitely say don't stress about getting in the perfect band when you're, you know, your age or whatever age you are, because you learn something from every band you're in, and it doesn't always work out. Most bands I've been in have only lasted like a year or 2, but it feels like with this one I finally landed like almost my perfect sound, people, setup, and it just takes, you know, time and allowing things to go the way they need to go to get there. So just keep at it. Like it can be discouraging for stuff to happen, whether there's all sorts of lessons to learn in the music business or just being a person in the music community in general. There's a lot of failure and letdown. The lesson I've learned recently, I feel like, is the more you put yourself out there, the more you will get rejected. which is just something that you have to learn how to deal with, like, emotionally. But yeah, I think it's just keep pushing. Remember why you're there in the first place. It's because you probably love making music or playing music, and one day it'll be with the right people.
Yeah. Just make sure you're having fun. Uh, it's okay to be vulnerable and it's scary, but yeah, vulnerable music that's truest to you is what's going to sound the coolest. And it's okay to steal from the artists that you love.
So true.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all I have, so thank you so much.